So now we've talked about all the kind of major pieces that make up XML and talked a little bit about how it can fit together. Now let's talk about the concept of well-formed XML. Now what does that well-formed XML mean? That means my XML follows the rules basically. If I got an XML instance, that's a document that has all these tags and content, and it has the correct syntax as defined by the XML standard, then it's well-formed. Now, well-formed only refers to the structure and syntax of the XML. It doesn't touch at all on whether your tag names are just gibberish and the data in between the tags is also gibberish. So yeah, you can have tags that are like fleeble and flarble, and the data inside those tags can just be you bashing on the keyboard, and that can still be well-formed XML. XML is not about the content, and it's not, well-formedness is not about the content, and it's not about the tag names. It's about the structure and the rules for XML. Are all the tags, do the tag names follow the rules? Not are they actual words that make sense, but do they follow the rules? Are everything nested correctly? Now, the important thing about well-formedness is that, well, frankly, XML that isn't well-formed just is not XML. It's not. It's something that looks like XML, but it's not XML. XML really has to be well-formed. The whole phrase well-formed XML is a little bit redundant because if it's not well-formed, it's really not XML. It's just an imposter that kind of looks like XML. Well-formedness is required for it to actually be XML. Just a little bit more about well-formedness. A well-formed document has correct XML syntax, meaning it conforms to the syntax rules that we've talked about, and we're going to show you a few more in just a sec. Being well-formed ensures that your stuff has met a minimum criteria so that a parser can read it. If you don't follow the XML rules, if the XML isn't well-formed, then a parser isn't going to be able to accurately read it because parsers are relying on what you feed them to be well-formed XML. Again, XML that isn't well-formed just isn't really XML. It's just stuff that kind of looks like XML. So because well-formedness is so important, let's take a little bit of an overview of the rules. So what are the rules? Well, first of all, they're all the rules we've looked at so far. So, everything you've seen about tag names and how these things fit together and declarations and all that, those are the rules so far. The XML declaration needs to come first in every document. Now, some people call that the prologue. The prologue incorporates more than just the declaration, though. I think the prologue is everything before the actual XML. But that XML declaration needs to be there. It needs to come first in an XML document. That's what actually declares, hey, this is XML. Every tag must have an ending tag. So every time you have an opening tag, there needs to be a matching ending tag. Now, there is a shortcut for those cases where you don't have any data for the tag. The tag's existence itself provides the data, or there's just attributes. You can have a tag that has no data in it, but does have attributes. In that case, you can use a shortcut format, and you'll see the example there on the slide. You can do person age 46 and then the end of person age tag. But if you didn't actually have any data, even though that would be kind of odd for person name, but if you didn't have any data, you could use the singleton tag version, which is to take that slash out of the closing tag, shove it into the end of the opening tag, and then just get rid of the closing tag. So then you get this angle bracket person name slash angle bracket. That's the same as person age and then immediately a closing person age tag. A little bit more overview of the rules. All attributes of tags must be quoted. Usually double quotes, but if you've got a double quote in there, you can use single quotes. But they have to match. You can't use a double quote at the beginning of the value and an ending quote at the end, or a single quote at the end. It needs to be both double quotes or both single quotes. Every document has to contain one and only one root element that completely contains all the other elements. So you have a declaration, and then you maybe have some of those processing instructions, and then you've got your root element. And then you got all the things inside of it, and you get down to the bottom and you have the closing tag for the root element. You don't get to have any more elements after that. You have one root element that contains everything else. You don't get to have more than one, just one root element. And then finally, the tags can't overlap. They need to nest. Now, we saw in our example where we had person, and inside of that was person name, and inside of that was person given name. And it's important that the tags don't overlap. If you were going to draw brackets, draw lines connecting the tags out on the left margin, they wouldn't cross each other. And you can see a good example and a bad example at the bottom of the slide. On the left, we have the good thumbs up example where the person given name opening and closing tags are entirely within the person name opening and closing tags. On the right, you see the bad thumbs down example where you have person name opening tag, person given name opening tag, the data, and then the closing person name followed by the person given name closing tag. And there you've got that overlap. So that's what we mean about tags can't overlap, they must nest correctly. And what you get then in XML is a giant hierarchy. And there are some ways to cross that hierarchy, but that's a topic for a little later in our presentations, as that's kind of a more advanced topic.